Hello, viewers. Welcome to the YouTube channel Lex Consilium Foundation. I'm Major General Neelendra Kumar. On the playlist Insemilie, and we resume our conversation with Senior Advocate Sudhish Pai, who's Bengaluru based, and one of the foremost legal historians and a jurist in his own contribution as his status and position. And today, Sudhishi, we continue on the legal giants that have been taken in this book. I'm showing it here, but otherwise, the book will be shown right in the beginning. It's being done for each video. We take up first Sir George Rankin, who appears on page 215 of your book, and his contribution to the development of law in India is remarkable, and he is also given credit for his huge encouragement to Indian bar. I would request you to recount a few great attributes of Sir Rankin as a judge.
Sir George Rankin is undoubtedly classed as one of the greatest judges who sat in any court in India. He had a brilliant academic career, came down to India sometime in 1918 or 1919 as a puisne judge of the Calcutta High Court. Prior to his coming to India, he met Sir Lawrence Jenkins, a former Chief Justice of the Bombay and Calcutta High Courts, who later sat on the Privy Council and about whom we have spoken also, and asked him whether he would advise his going to India, what he should do, because he was new to India while he was very well versed in English law. Particularly, he was considered to be an expert in commercial law. But India had its own procedural laws and special personal laws. So Lawrence Jenkins advised him to go ahead. Calcutta High Court would be a great place to sit. And he gave him a piece of advice that when he goes to Calcutta, he should ask the Chief Justice. It was Chief Justice Lancelot Sanderson at that time, to put him on a bench with Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, who would then train him, chisel him to be a great judge. That's exactly what Rankin did, and he was put on a bench with
Sir Ashutosh.
Sir Ashutosh, and Sir Ashutosh insisted that he make notes and show him the notebook like student and teacher. Justice Ramaprasad Mukherjee, Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee's eldest son and father of Justice Chitatosh Mukherjee, notes that he has seen those notebooks.
Okay.
With red pencil corrections by his father, the great Sir Ashutosh. And so they sat together for a long time. Sir George Rankin imbibed all that was necessary to be a good judge and a great judge. The pupil of the yesteryears himself turned out to be a great master. He also has the distinction of being the first puisne judge of the Calcutta High Court to have occupied the position of the Chief Justice of the High Court. Otherwise, all of them came from outside.
Yes.
Of course, Sir Lawrence Jenkins himself was a puisne judge of the Calcutta High Court to begin with, and he went to Bombay as Chief Justice, and then after a break came back to Calcutta as Chief Justice. But Sir George Rankin began his judicial career in India as a puisne judge of the Calcutta High Court, and went on to become the Chief Justice of the same court on the retirement of Sir Lancelot Sanderson.
Quite remarkable.
He was by all standards an eminent judge. It is said that no brother could take the liberty of dozing off sitting with him on the bench, and no lawyer, however cantankerous he be, could take any liberties with him. There is also an incident mentioned that in his very early years, some lawyer tried to pass off something, but judge who knew everything in the law was quick-witted to catch him, and no one ever attempted such a practice thereafter. But it must also be said that Rankin was one of the finest judges. Apart from his equipment and knowledge, he was so quick of grasp that, like some of the other judges about whom we had occasion to speak, before he could put across 2 points, he would have grasped 5 points in the case. He never hustled you through. Great qualities which I believe
Yes.
judges must possess. Not only I believe, it is universally accepted
Yes.
that judges must possess these qualities. He was patient. It is said that juniors found their feet in his court. You mentioned the Indian bar. Yes, the Indian bar was definitely encouraged by him, but more particularly the juniors. The senior members normally could take care of themselves, but juniors And this is a really great quality.
They blossomed in his cause.
Yes, I understand that he would encourage you to argue. Not only encourage you to argue, he would guide you how to argue. He would tell you, please open your paper book, go to page so and so, look at that, read that passage, tell us this. I mean, I don't, like a senior would guide a junior, the judge
Yes.
would guide the junior counsel. I think
Court
that
was
was
the nursery for the young
Yes,
upcoming
yes.
lawyers. Yes.
It was something absolutely remarkable.
Wonderful.
And that made him, both loved and respected.
Okay. I would also like to know that as a judge in India, it is said that it helped him to serve later as a member of the Privy Council. Now, if you agree, then just explain that also.
Yes, yes. See, as I said, after he came to India, took lessons from Sir Ashutosh, and of course, he was himself a very well-equipped man of law. So he was thorough in everything, both the substantive law and the procedural law. And early in his career, he was also part of the Commission of Inquiry, which went into the Jallianwala Bagh incident.
Okay.
As you know, that happened in 1919. And Sir George Rankin was just a judge for a year or two when that happened. He had come, I think he came to India in 1917 or 1918. So just a couple of years on the bench here. So he was a part of that commission. I think it was called the Hunter Commission, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Yes. So he was part of the Hunter Commission. And thereafter, he was part of what is called the Civil Justice Committee, which went, from place to place in British India. Even then, you had arrears.
Yes.
So the Civil Justice Committee's remit was to find out how you could have quicker disposals. And we also have I think when Civil Justice Committee went to Bombay, Duncan Inverarity also appeared before them and gave suggestions. So all this contributed to George Rankin.
Sufficient background.
Yes. And he also penned a book, How the Common Law was Adapted in India.
Right.
So both substantive law and procedural law, sufficient
grounding and
case and grounding, which made him eminently suitable to sit on the Privy Council, which he ultimately did.
Then there is a particular case that has been explained in your book, and that is of one Tarini Charan Bhattacharjee. And it has been indicated that this case can be a very good example to explain the aspect relating to question of law as well as procedure. Can you throw some light on that?
Yes, Tarini Charan Bhattacharjee is a special bench decision of the Calcutta High Court, George Rankin writing the judgment. It is considered a classic, particularly on the concept of res judicata.
Constitutes.
What constitutes determination of what questions constitute res judicata. And in that, he had occasion to say that, normally we speak of questions of law and questions of fact, and questions of law themselves could be of various kinds. Questions relating to jurisdiction, questions relating to limitation. And he explained in great detail, I think it's 1929 Calcutta, if I'm not wrong. But anyway, more or less around that time, that is considered a classic. And this judgment has been approved by the Supreme Court. I think it was Justice J.C. Shah speaking for the bench in 1971, the famous case of Dosibai, where the court quoted Tarini Bhattacharjee with approval. And it was also laid down that an erroneous determination regarding question of jurisdiction would not constitute res judicata. So this is one of those classic...
that clarification, yes.
Rankin also had the great reputation of never having decided a case wrongly. And this is something, even great judges are human, and you can always honestly, bona fide commit an error. We are all human.
But never with him.
The distinction of George Rankin is that he never decided a case wrongly.
This is a huge sort of attribute.
Yes.
And naturally, somebody would be really proud of, and also for that court and for the juniors.
Just to complete the picture of this great judge, because as you said, he went to the Privy Council. And there are also cases regarding contempt of court, which he decided, like Sir Lawrence Jenkins did the Amrita Prasad Patrika and Tariq Kanti Ghosh. There were also cases regarding contempt which fell to George Rankin to decide. The importance is the law laid down by him, apart from being approved later in the Supreme Court, the law laid down by him became part of the Contempt of Court Act 1971, the present act. Quite a few sections virtually embody the statement of law that George Rankin had laid down. And you also have one of his very famous cases in the Privy Council regarding adoption in Hindu law, which
Right.
is in a classic. And that was been approved by the Supreme Court in the early 1950s. And Lord Maugham, about whom we had occasion to speak earlier when we spoke of Sir Maurice Guire, Lord Maugham, the Lord Chancellor, said that, to quote him, there has been no judge of my time who more greatly impressed me in a sphere he may be said to have made his own. This was the
Right.
tribute that Lord Maugham paid to George Rankin.
Okay.
That was the great judge.
Yes. It's quite remarkable that these English judges who had their education in England and they had no notion of Hindu law, it was not, wouldn't have been taught to them there. And they came to India, very short span of time. Some of them, like Sir George Rankin, they sort of attained mastery and they could hear competing versions in disputes, legal disputes, and rightly decide. So, thank you very much. Grateful to you for this, and the conversation will continue.